Have you ever wondered why some people achieve greatness while others keep waiting for the right time? The truth is, there is no right time, the time is now. The quietest hours of the day, when the world sleeps, are the hours when God whispers the loudest. At 4 a.m., the world is still, distractions are gone, and the mind becomes a fertile ground for clarity, focus, and inner strength. That's the 4 a.m. mindset. It's not just about waking up early, it's about waking up to life, to purpose, to God's guidance within you. The one who conquers their mornings conquers their destiny. When the clock strikes 4 a.m., something magical happens in the universe. The world outside is asleep, but within, the soul feels awake. Silence covers everything like a blanket, and in that silence lies a power far greater than the rush and noise of the day. Many people are afraid of silence because they associate it with emptiness, loneliness, or even boredom. But the truth is, silence is not empty, it is full of God's presence. Silence is where we hear the whispers of our own heart, and more importantly, the guidance of the divine. Think about your day. From the moment you wake up, there is noise. The phone buzzes with messages, the roads are filled with honking cars, people are rushing with their schedules, conversations, arguments, and endless distractions. By the time night comes, your mind is exhausted, not because of hard work alone, but because of the constant noise that has been invading your thoughts. In such chaos, how can anyone truly hear the voice of God within? That is why the early hours of the morning, when everything is still, become sacred. They are the hours when the world rests, but the soul rises. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you are in a crowded market, full of people shouting, music playing, vendors calling out. Now someone you deeply love comes to whisper something into your ear. Would you be able to hear them clearly? Probably not. The noise around you will drown out their voice. But imagine being in a quiet garden where the only sound is the breeze and the birds. If that same loved one whispers, you will hear every word, every emotion. That is the difference silence makes. God is always speaking to us, not through thunder or lightning, but through gentle whispers. The question is, are we quiet enough to listen? At 4 a.m., that silence becomes your best friend. It is in those moments that reflection, meditation, and prayer become powerful. Have you noticed how even nature aligns with this? The air feels fresher, the sky is calmer, the birds slowly begin their songs. It is as though the entire universe is saying, this is the time to connect. Our ancestors, saints, sages, and even great leaders understood this. They knew that the stillness of the early morning is not just physical, it is spiritual. Now think about your own daily life. How often do you complain that you cannot focus, that your mind is restless, that you are stressed? Most people try to fight restlessness by adding more noise, music, TV, scrolling endlessly on their phones. But does that ever bring true peace? Peace is not found in adding noise, it is found in embracing silence. At 4 a.m., when the world is not demanding your attention, you can finally give attention to yourself and to God. Some of the most successful people in the world have confessed that their greatest ideas, their deepest clarity, came in the early hours of the morning. Why? Because their mind was undisturbed, their environment was still, and in that silence, they tapped into the higher wisdom within. Whether you are a student preparing for exams, an entrepreneur building a business, or simply someone trying to live a better life, the silence of 4 a.m. gives you an edge that no book, no lecture, no advice can give. Picture a student waking at 4 a.m. While others are asleep, he sits with his books in silence. There is no distraction, no calls, no background noise. His focus sharpens like a laser, and within 2 hours, he achieves what others struggle to do in an entire day. Or imagine a mother who wakes before her family, using that time to sit quietly, reflect, and plan her day. She is calmer, more balanced, and carries that peace throughout the day, influencing her family with positivity. That is the hidden blessing of silence. It doesn't just change your mornings, it changes your entire life. God has designed silence as a doorway to strength. It is in silence that you gain patience because you are not rushing. It is in silence that you gain gratitude because you notice the smallest gifts around you. And it is in silence that you gain wisdom because your heart has space to receive it. Many people ask, where is God? Why don't I feel God's presence? The truth is, God is always present. But our lives are too loud to notice. Silence is not about isolating yourself from the world. It is about tuning your inner instrument so you can hear the music of the divine. Every great relationship requires listening. If you never listen to your friend, your bond weakens. If you never listen to your spouse, misunderstandings grow. The same is true with God. Prayer is not just speaking to God, it is also listening. And listening happens best in silence. So when you adopt the 4 a.m. mindset, you are not just waking up early, you are stepping into a sacred conversation. A conversation where your worries lose their weight, your doubts start melting, and your path becomes clearer. Silence at 4 a.m. is not empty space. It is the sacred stage where your soul meets its creator. And once you experience that connection, you will never see silence as loneliness again. You will see it as your most faithful companion, your invisible teacher, and your daily reminder that God has never left your side. The second key point, the power of discipline over desire, is one of the most life-changing principles because it reveals the hidden strength within every individual. Every single one of us is constantly pulled between two forces, the desire for comfort and the call of discipline. Desire whispers, stay in bed a little longer, eat what you crave, skip the work today, scroll for another hour. Discipline whispers, rise now, take control, do what needs to be done, even when it feels uncomfortable. Whoever wins that inner tug of war shapes your destiny. If desire wins every day, life becomes stagnant, but if discipline wins, growth becomes inevitable. Think of the alarm clock in the early morning. When it rings, desire says, sleep a little more, you deserve rest. Discipline says, get up, this is your time to grow. In that single moment, you are making a decision that will impact your entire day. Most people think success is built on big decisions, but the truth is success is built on small choices repeated consistently. Waking up when you said you would, eating what nourishes instead of what tempts, working when others are relaxing. These are not small acts. These are daily victories of discipline over desire. Let's take an example from daily life. Imagine a student preparing for exams. Desire tells them to relax, watch TV, hang out with friends because studying feels boring and stressful. But the disciplined student chooses to sit at their desk, open the book, and focus. Months later, when results are out, the disciplined student enjoys success, opportunities, and confidence. Meanwhile, the one who gave in to desire is left with regret. This shows that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts much longer. Discipline is not about punishment, it is about protection. Just as traffic rules protect us on the road, discipline protects us in life. Without traffic rules, there would be accidents and chaos. Without discipline, life too becomes messy and directionless. Look at athletes. To the world, They seem extraordinary, but their greatness is not in talent alone. It is in discipline, the strict diets, the early trainings, the hours of practice, the sacrifices of comfort. Desire may want them to rest or indulge, but they choose discipline, and that is why they stand on podiums with medals, while the rest of the world only watches in admiration. Even in spiritual life, discipline matters. Many people want peace, wisdom, and inner strength. But when it is time to meditate or reflect, desire distracts them with entertainment or laziness. The disciplined person, however, shows up for prayer or meditation every day, even when they don't feel like it. Over time, they build a deep connection with God, while the one ruled by desire keeps searching but never finding. Another everyday example is health. We all desire junk food because it is tasty and instantly gratifying. Discipline, on the other hand, tells us to eat fresh fruits, vegetables, and balanced meals. Desire may feel satisfying for a moment, but it leads to long-term problems, low energy, diseases, and weakness. Discipline may feel restrictive at first, but it builds a body full of energy, strength, and vitality. Every bite you take is a choice between desire and discipline. What makes discipline powerful is that it creates freedom. Many people think discipline is about losing freedom, but the opposite is true. The person who gives in to desire is actually a slave to impulses. They cannot say no to laziness, cravings, or distractions. But the disciplined person is free. They are not controlled by their urges, they control them. That is true freedom, when your mind follows your higher will, not your lower temptations. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Imagine you promise a friend to meet them at 6 a.m., but you never show up. Slowly they will stop trusting your words. The same happens with yourself. Every time you say, I will wake up early, but don't, or I will start exercising today, but skip it, you lose trust in yourself. But when you practice discipline and keep your word, you build confidence and self-respect. You start believing, if I say I will do it, I will do it. That faith in yourself is priceless. Look at nature. It is disciplined. The sun rises every day without fail. Rivers flow in their paths. Seasons change in rhythm. Imagine if the sun decided, I don't feel like rising today. Life on earth would collapse. Discipline is part of the divine order of the universe, and when we align our lives with that order, we experience balance and success. Remember, desire will always feel stronger in the moment. It is sweet, tempting, and easy. But discipline, though difficult at first, gives fruits that last. The student who studies, the worker who shows up on time, the parent who fulfills responsibilities, the individual who wakes up at 4 a.m., all of them reap rewards that desire can never give. The secret is this: you don't need to fight desire forever. If you practice discipline daily, it becomes a habit and eventually a lifestyle. Then you no longer feel it as a burden, you feel it as your natural way of living. Waking early, eating healthy, working with focus, connecting with God, these become automatic because discipline has trained your mind to rise above desire. So the next time you face that small choice between comfort and growth, laziness and effort, desire and discipline, remember that you are not just making a choice for that moment. You are shaping your character, your destiny, and your future. Desire will give you comfort now, but discipline will give you peace, success, and fulfillment for a lifetime. The way we begin our day is not just a routine. It is the foundation upon which the rest of our life is built. Mornings are like the roots of a tree. If the roots are strong, the tree will stand tall against storms. If the roots are weak, the tree will fall at the first sign of trouble. In the same way, how you shape your morning shapes your destiny. People often underestimate the power of the first few hours after waking up. They treat mornings casually, hitting the snooze button, checking their phones, or rushing into the day without reflection. But the truth is, every morning is an opportunity from God, a fresh page, a new beginning, a chance to take control of your life. Think of your mind as a piece of soft clay in the morning. At that time, it is flexible, open, and receptive. Whatever you shape it into will harden throughout the day. If you start your morning with chaos, rushing, worrying, and scrolling through negativity, you are setting yourself up for a restless, unfocused day. But if you start your morning with calmness, discipline, and clarity, you carry that energy into everything you do. The direction of your day and ultimately your destiny is written in those early hours. Let's consider a simple daily example. Two people wake up at the same time. The first person checks their phone, gets caught in social media, feels rushed, and leaves home stressed. The second person spends the first 30 minutes in silence, reflecting, maybe journaling, meditating, or exercising. Throughout the day, who will handle challenges better? Who will stay calmer in stress? Who will make clearer decisions? The one who shaped their morning with intention. The difference is not luck, it is the conscious use of mornings. Great achievers across history have understood this. Leaders, saints, entrepreneurs, athletes, they all guard their mornings as sacred. Why? Because they know mornings are not just about the body waking up, but about awakening the mind and the soul. When you rise early and dedicate your first hours to purpose, you are telling yourself, I value my life. I will not waste the time God has given me. That attitude, repeated every day, shapes a destiny of strength and success. Think about students again. A student who wakes up late and rushes to class forgets half of what they studied the night before because their mind is unsettled. Another student who wakes early, reviews calmly, and prepares with focus walks into the exam hall with clarity. The way they shape their morning determine their performance. This principle does not apply to students alone, it applies to all of us. Even in relationships, the energy of your morning matters. If you wake up angry, rushing, or careless, that energy spills into how you treat your family, colleagues, and friends. But if your morning is calm and grateful, you naturally share that positivity. A kind word spoken at breakfast can uplift someone for the entire day. In this way, mornings not only shape your own destiny, but also influence the destinies of those around you. Now, let's reflect on why mornings are so powerful. When you wake up, your mind is fresh. It has not yet absorbed the world's noise or stress. This is the time when your thoughts are most aligned with your inner self and with God. It is the time to plant seeds, seeds of gratitude, seeds of clarity, seeds of determination. Just as a farmer plants seeds in the right season to reap a good harvest, you plant mental seeds in the morning to reap a successful day. Here is another everyday story. A person decides to dedicate the first hour of every morning to exercise, reading, and reflection. At first, it feels difficult. But over weeks, their energy grows, their mind becomes sharper, and their confidence rises. Another person spends the same hour on television or gossip. Weeks later, they feel stuck, tired, and uninspired. Both were given the same gift of 24 hours. But how they shaped their mornings created two completely different lives. Destiny is not an accident, it is the result of repeated choices. And the most important choice you make daily is how you begin your morning. If you win the morning, you win the day. If you win enough days, you win the years. And if you win the years, you win your destiny. Sometimes people say, I don't have time for mornings. But the truth is, you don't have time because you don't take control of mornings. By waking just 1 hour earlier and using it wisely, you can transform your life. That 1 hour, if invested in self growth, is more valuable than the many wasted hours later in the day. Mornings are like a secret key given by God. When you use it, doors open. When you neglect it, doors remain closed. Remember, mornings are not about rushing into work or chores. They are about aligning yourself with purpose. Even 5 minutes of deep breathing, gratitude, or silence in the morning can shift your entire day. The most beautiful part is that mornings remind us of renewal. No matter what mistakes we made yesterday, every sunrise brings a new chance. Every morning is a message. Life is giving you another opportunity. What will you do with it? So the next time the alarm rings, don't see it as a disturbance. See it as life itself calling you to shape your destiny. Rise with awareness. Use your morning as a sacred space. And watch how gradually your days, your character, and your entire life begin to transform. Mornings are not just the start of the day, they are the beginning of destiny. Confusion is one of the greatest thieves of human potential. It keeps people stuck in circles, doubting themselves, and questioning every step they take. Many of us live in a state of constant noise, our phones buzzing, our schedules packed, our minds loaded with endless choices. And in this noise, clarity disappears. Without clarity, we waste energy on things that do not matter. But clarity is not something we stumble upon randomly, it is something we create. And the early hours of the morning, when the world is silent, are the most powerful time to discover it. This is the essence of the 4 a.m. mindset. Silence clears away confusion, and from that silence, clarity rises. Think of your mind as a glass of muddy water. When it is constantly shaken by noise, distractions, and worries, the water looks dark and messy. But if you leave it still, slowly the mud settles and the water becomes clear. That is what silence at 4 a.m. does for your thoughts. It allows the mud of yesterday, the stress, the arguments, the failures, to settle down. Suddenly, what seemed complicated becomes simple. What felt overwhelming becomes manageable. This is not magic, it is the natural gift of clarity that comes from stillness. In daily life, clarity changes everything. Imagine a student who is confused about what to study. They try to do many things at once, waste hours, and feel exhausted without progress. But another student wakes up early, sits in silence, and organizes their priorities. Within minutes, they decide what subject to focus on, what chapter to complete, and how to manage their time. The rest of the day flows with direction. Both students had the same 24 hours, but the one who found clarity at the start used those hours effectively. Even in relationships, clarity is the difference between conflict and peace. How many times do we say words in anger that we later regret? In the heat of confusion, our mind pushes us to react. But if you train yourself to begin mornings with silence, your thoughts become calmer, and you gain clarity in how to respond instead of react. A person with clarity communicates with kindness, makes wiser choices, and avoids unnecessary arguments. That simple shift can transform homes, friendships, and workplaces. Consider the example of a businessman. He faces dozens of decisions daily: where to invest, whom to trust, what direction to take. If he begins his day with rushing and distractions, he is likely to make decisions clouded by stress. But if he starts his day at 4 a.m., reflecting in silence, meditating on his goals, his choices come from clarity. That clarity reduces mistakes, strengthens confidence, and leads to success. Success is not about doing more. It is about doing what truly matters. And only clarity can show you what matters. Confusion often makes life feel heavy. You feel like you are carrying 1,000 problems on your shoulders. But clarity shows you that not every problem is yours to carry. Many people spend energy worrying about things beyond their control. Clarity teaches you to separate what you can control from what you cannot. For example, you cannot control how others behave, but you can control your response. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control your effort. When you begin your mornings with silence and reflection, these truths become visible, and suddenly life feels lighter. Another everyday example is health. Many people feel lost because they don't know what to eat, how to exercise, or where to start. They try diets for a few days, then quit because confusion drains their willpower. But a person who sits quietly in the morning, reflecting on their health goals, gains clarity. I will start small with a 20-minute walk and one healthy meal. That small step, guided by clarity, grows into lasting habits. Without clarity, people give up. With clarity, they move forward consistently. Clarity is also deeply connected to purpose. So many people say, I don't know what my purpose is. I feel lost. But purpose does not appear when the mind is restless. It appears when the mind is calm. Imagine trying to see the reflection of the moon on a stormy lake. It is impossible. But when the water is still, the reflection is crystal clear. In the same way, your purpose is already within you, but confusion clouds it. The stillness of the early morning, when the world sleeps, is the best time to look inward and ask, what truly matters to me? What do I want to give to this world? Slowly, answers emerge, and you begin to walk with direction. Even spiritually, clarity is essential. Many people pray, but their minds wander. They ask for blessings, but they don't know what they truly want. Prayer without clarity is like shooting arrows in the dark. But when you sit in silence, calm your mind, and connect with God, your prayers gain focus. You know what to ask, you understand what to work for, and you feel peace in trusting the process. That is the beauty of clarity. It transforms prayer into a meaningful conversation, not just empty words. When you live with clarity, life feels simple, not because problems disappear, but because you see them differently. You no longer feel trapped by confusion. You see the path forward. Clarity is like light in a dark room. Without it, you stumble, doubt, and fall. With it, you walk confidently, even if the path is long. So every morning, before the noise of the world begins, give yourself the gift of silence. Let the mud of confusion settle. Let your mind breathe. Reflect on what truly matters today. Write it down if you must. You will find that once you gain clarity in the morning, your entire day follows with strength. And as days become weeks and weeks become years, your destiny will not be shaped by confusion. It will be guided by clarity. Energy is often misunderstood. Most people think energy is simply about how many hours of sleep they get or how much food they eat. But have you ever noticed that sometimes, even after sleeping for 8 hours, you still feel tired? Or sometimes, after very little rest, you feel unusually alive, inspired, and ready to take on the world. This shows that energy is not only physical, it is deeply connected to your mind, your spirit, and your alignment with a higher purpose. True energy is not just about the body, it is about the connection between body, mind, and soul. When you wake up at 4 a.m., you are not just getting a head start on the day, you are tapping into a different kind of energy. It is the energy that comes from being in harmony with nature's rhythm and God's timing. At that hour, the world is silent, distractions are absent, and your mind is at its purest state. In that stillness, the energy you feel is not ordinary, it is elevated deeper and more powerful than anything you can get from caffeine or stimulants. Take a simple example. Imagine two people starting their day. One wakes up late, rushes through breakfast, and heads into traffic stressed and half prepared. The other rises early, spends time in silence, maybe exercises, reflects, or prays. The second person's energy throughout the day is different. While the first one feels drained even before noon, the second walks into every task with clarity and strength. This difference is not about who slept longer, but about who aligned themselves with the right energy at the start of the day. Energy is contagious. Think about it. When you meet someone full of positivity and enthusiasm, you feel uplifted. But when you meet someone who constantly complains, you feel drained. The energy we carry is not hidden, it spreads into our environment. Waking up early and connecting to your inner self fills you with a vibrant energy that naturally flows into your work, your relationships, and your daily interactions. People around you notice it, even if you never say a word. In daily life, energy beyond the physical shows up in many ways. Consider a student studying late at night, forcing themselves to stay awake. Their body is present, but their mind is dull and unfocused. Now picture the same student studying early in the morning. After waking at 4 a.m., the air is fresh, the mind is sharp, and the focus is intense. They absorb in 1 hour what might have taken them 3 at night. The physical effort is the same, but the energy is entirely different because it comes from alignment with nature's silence and their own mental freshness. This deeper energy also helps in decision making. When you are physically tired but mentally clear, you can still make strong choices. But when you are physically rested but mentally confused, you still feel drained. True energy is born when both the body and the mind are balanced. That is why starting the day early, with calmness and focus, builds a foundation of energy that lasts longer than physical rest alone. Even in work life, we see this truth. There are people who work for hours yet achieve little, because their energy is scattered. And there are others who, in a shorter time, create incredible results because their energy is focused and powerful. Energy is not about doing more, it is about doing with presence, clarity, and alignment. When you rise early, reflect, and connect with yourself, you stop leaking energy into distractions. Instead, you direct it into what truly matters, and that focus produces extraordinary results. Think about spiritual seekers and saints. Many of them live with very little physical comfort, sometimes even less food or sleep than ordinary people. Yet, their energy is boundless. They walk, speak, and serve tirelessly, inspiring thousands. Where does this come from? It is not from the body alone. It comes from connection to something greater than the body. When you align your life with discipline and purpose, you too begin to tap into that same inner energy source. Another daily life example is a mother caring for her children. She may not sleep enough, she may be exhausted physically, but when her child needs her, she finds strength from nowhere. That is energy beyond the physical, the energy of love, purpose, and connection. It proves that the deepest energy does not come from rest alone, but from meaning. When you live with meaning, your energy multiplies. This is why waking up at 4 a.m. is so powerful. You are not just starting your day early, you are starting it with alignment, meaning, and purpose. The tasks you do in that time, whether it's meditation, exercise, or focused work, charge not just your body but your entire being. This energy stays with you long after, carrying you through the challenges of the day. Many people chase energy through shortcuts: coffee, sugar, or stimulants. These may give temporary boosts, but they always crash later. True energy never crashes because it does not come from outside, it comes from within. And the way to unlock it is to live in discipline, connect with silence, and dedicate your mornings to self mastery. Remember, your physical body has limits, but your inner energy is infinite when you align it with purpose. At 4 a.m., when you rise above comfort and connect with yourself, you awaken that source of energy. You begin to realize that you are not just a body living a routine. You are a soul with immense power, capable of much more than you imagine. And once you experience this energy beyond the physical, you no longer depend on motivation from outside. You become your own source of strength, your own source of inspiration, and your own endless supply of energy. Time is the most valuable gift given to us by God, yet most people live as if they have an endless supply of it. They waste hours, chase distractions, and then complain that there aren't enough hours in the day. The truth is, time is not our enemy. It is our greatest ally when we learn how to use it. The 4 a.m. mindset is not just about waking up early. It is about creating time instead of chasing it. It is about turning time from something that controls you into something that works for you. Think about it, everyone in the world, whether rich or poor, successful or struggling, gets the same 24 hours. No one has 25 hours. No one has 23. The difference is not in the amount of time, but in how that time is used. One person rises early, plans their day, and works with focus. Another sleeps late, wastes the morning, and spends the rest of the day rushing to catch up. By evening, both wonder where the day went, but only one has something meaningful to show. That is the difference between making time your ally and letting it become your enemy. Imagine two students preparing for exams. One wakes up late, panics, and spends the day in confusion, studying without structure. By night, they are exhausted but feel unprepared. The other student wakes at 4 a.m., studies in silence with a fresh mind, and by the time others are waking, they have already finished half their revision. Throughout the day, they remain calm and confident. Both had the same exam, the same syllabus, the same number of hours. But the disciplined one used time as a partner, while the careless one made time their enemy. Time is like a river. If you try to hold it carelessly, it slips away. But if you direct its flow with intention, it can power a mill, nourish a field, or carry a boat safely to its destination. When you waste time, you are not just losing hours, you are losing opportunities, losing growth, losing moments that will never return. But when you honor time, when you use the early morning to set your direction, time itself seems to multiply for you. Many people say, I don't have enough time. The truth is, it's not a lack of time, it's a lack of priorities. We all find time to scroll on social media, to binge shows, to gossip, but we say we don't have time to exercise, reflect, or chase our dreams. The 4 a.m. mindset changes this. It gives you quiet hours when the world is not demanding your attention, when there are no distractions, no interruptions. Those hours are like hidden treasures. What you accomplish then is often more than what you can do in the noisy chaos of the day. Look at successful entrepreneurs, athletes, or thinkers. Most of them wake early and guard their mornings fiercely. Why? Because they know those hours set the tone for the entire day. When you rise early, time stretches. You feel ahead, calm, and in control. But when you wake late, time chases you. You run from one task to another, always feeling behind, always in stress. This difference does not come from fate, it comes from choice. Here's a daily life example: a working parent. If they wake late, They rush to get the kids ready, hurry through breakfast, stress in traffic, and reach work already exhausted. But if they wake at 4 a.m., they have time to center themselves, maybe exercise, maybe prepare calmly, and still be ready for their children without panic. The same responsibilities exist, but one parent feels controlled by time, while the other feels in control of it. This is how time becomes either a blessing or a burden. When you make time your ally, you also make life lighter. Stress comes mostly from mismanaged time, missed deadlines, forgotten tasks, endless rushing. But when you honor time, you create order, peace, and balance. Instead of carrying the weight of unfinished work, you move steadily, accomplishing step by step. You begin to experience what many people crave, but never find, the peace of being on top of your life instead of buried beneath it. Spiritually too, time is sacred. Every morning, when you wake early and use those quiet hours for reflection or prayer, you are reminding yourself that life is temporary and precious. Time is like sand slipping through the fingers. It will not stop for anyone. The one who wastes mornings is wasting life itself, but the one who rises with discipline is saying to God, I respect the gift you have given me, and I will not waste it. This respect for time brings blessings, because when you value what is given to you, you are entrusted with more. Another example is of a dreamer who wants to start a new project, maybe writing a book or starting a business. They say they don't have time after work, but if they wake at 4 a.m. and dedicate just 1 hour each morning, in a year they would complete their book or lay the foundation